Village? Can you take it to, I'm sorry, the other
Yeah,
split table?
we can. Yes, yes, of course, because that's
Okay.
within our organization, and we can also ourselves take it somewhere off site or whatever. But we can't actually
Okay.
say like, hey, if you're with this other organization, you can come pick up at Unity Village when donations come in for you or what. So we, it's kind of like that.
Gotcha. Okay. Huh, well, that's an interesting condition, but okay.
Yeah.
Hi, all.
Hey, how's it going, Keith?
Hello.
Doing all right, I guess.
Excellent.
We'll just wait a bit to see who joins in. It seems there's also another or a number of other meetings going on tonight. I didn't when I set this up a few months ago. I didn't think there'd be like the State of the Union going on and a county council meeting or whatever. Yeah, so
Hmm.
sorry about that.
It happens.
There are lots of meetings.
Yeah, too many in my opinion, but we do the best we can.
Yes.
Um, okay, so I don't know if any more people are going to show up. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But let's just, I guess, get started. Just so everybody knows, this meeting is being recorded. We are trying to kind of just start, keeping a public record of these meetings, and then try. We're also trying to increase attendance and all that. I do think it's going to take some time, especially after the last few years with COVID and all that. And but in any case, a couple discussions that I thought would be good to bring up tonight as far as on our agenda, because we have an agenda here. So let's get the quick stuff out of the way first. So first thing on the agenda is treasurer report. So
Yes. Um, we have a balance in our account of $2,185.03.
okay,
We had to pay $20 to the state to keep our nonprofit going, and they made it this year into such a hard system.
the paper having to fill it out in paper instead
Yeah,
of digital like it was many years
yeah,
before. Yes, I also had to do that with Homes Now, and it was a pain. It was like I got
it's a
like
pain.
a letter sent back and forth like three or four times before it was accepted because of one little.
Yeah, I've got the receipt, but I just got a
Yeah.
letter saying we have not applied, so we're out of.
Okay.
But we have it. I mean, I have the receipt.
Oh, okay. So do we know who's going to fill out that report so we can actually get it like so stay valid or whatever?
It is valid. They
Okay.
said not, but I have the receipt that they received it and then it's valid.
Right, I got it. Yeah, and there's a delay
Yeah.
between when it's like shows
It's
up
been it's been since October.
okay, great.
So, but yeah, so we got a refund back from the city for our postal rental and of the $20 for the state.
Okay,
So we got a check back for $252.
okay, sounds good. Um, uh, is there anything else from the treasurer's side that you would like to report or
Nope.
discuss? Okay.
There's been no activity other than that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I figured. I just wanted to make sure. Okay. Uh, as for the next thing on the agenda, it's Swift Haven Unity Village update. I kind of alluded to it earlier right before the meeting here, but Swift Haven's doing good. We still have about another year on our 2-year permit that we got on site there. So in March of 2024 is when we'll either be up for renewal or not. I believe we will be, which has been the case for both of our villages getting renewed when the permit runs out. Technically it's classified as a temporary emergency shelter, but Unity Village, for example, has been able to stay in operation for the last in August it will have been 4 years, and Swift Haven has another year, and then we are hoping to get another renewal after that. We currently turned in our statistics, or we showed our statistics in our last video. With both villages combined, we have about a 47% rehousing rate. So that means about 47% of people who come through find housing, find an apartment or a room in a house or a place to live after the village. And then that opens up a slot for somebody else to get a spot who needs that stepping stone. We are all resident managed, resident run at both villages. So that means the people who live there are the people who run it. And we do not have any paid staff at homes now. So we have our ups and downs. We do our best, and we are proud of what we built at both villages, and we hope we can continue. As I said earlier, each time we do get a permit renewal, the city does seem to add new conditions. So one of those conditions that I think is counterproductive, but they added it for Unity Village, is that donations that come to the village are not to be redistributed through going through other organizations to like redonate or anything like that. So it's basically like a condition that says the donations coming into the village are just for the village. I think it might be tied to maybe they think that if we redonate to people on the streets who need it, that's ending up in the camps they're clearing, when they do the sweeps or the whatever. I'm not sure. I think it's unnecessary, but it is one of those things that they've put on us for that. I will make it known in our meetings that it has made some volunteers upset and other organizations that we work with, because the city has kind of said, we want organizations to have community collaboration, and so this kind of works against that a little bit, because it's kind of like saying we're not allowed to collaborate with, like, let's say we get, because you could with donations you could kind of say, hey, we'll only take these donations or whatever, but it's actually a lot easier to say yes, we'll take your donations, and anything we don't need we'll figure out where to redistribute that. But when you kind of are not allowed to take them in unless it's just going to be for the village itself, then that leads to a situation where you might have to get more picky with it, and leading to a situation in which maybe people won't donate because it's too difficult. Maybe you only take this or that, so yeah, I find it kind of annoying. But other than that, though, day to day is going fine. And yeah, what?
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Just confirm, did I hear you say Unity Village has had 45% of residents have found housing now, permanent housing?
It's a 47% rehousing rate with both villages. Unity Village is at 58%. Swift Haven is more like 37 or 38%. And so that means that when somebody comes to live at the village, they live there for a certain amount of time, usually anywhere from a couple of months to longer. And we have people that have been with us since the beginning who have been there for a long time, but the out of the number of people who come through the village, meaning when they leave the village, at Unity Village, 58% have found permanent housing or housing outside of the village, meaning they got a room in a house or they got a apartment or whatever.
And what was the percentage for Swift Haven?
Like 38%-ish. But I will add that Swift Haven is a young village that has been there for a lot less of a period of time, and when Unity Village was the same age as Swift Haven is now, it had a similar percentage. So it goes
Okay.
up over time at both villages.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
No, thank you. Yeah. And our statistics are public. Our financial records are public. We do quarterly reports. So we are 100% transparent, and we invite anybody to come and visit either of our villages anytime they want. One sec. So that's all I had from the Swift Haven perspective, because it's in the Puget neighborhood. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer on that. If not, I will move on to the next item. Okay. The next item on the list is MNAC representative discussion.
All right. Good evening, everyone. At the last MNAC discussion, our main spokespeople were from SSC, or Sanitary Services Center. They spoke about moving us from the recycle bins that we're currently accustomed to, the paper, the glass, and the shredded paper, whatever the three bins are, to one bin, which will save time and money, supposedly,
To commingle
for SSC. One more time.
You're saying to commingle bins, like where you can put like the cans in with the paper and.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. It'll be one bin, and that is their proposal, and that's what they hope to move to within the next year or so. I can certainly ask them to come in and give us more information if we'd like, but this is kind of an initial process. They're taking it to City Council to see what the City Council has to say about that. But that was our main discussion. Other than that, we also talked about what other neighborhoods are doing, such as community barbecues, doing more in-person meetings such as this, and trying to have more of an in-person presence throughout town. I'd say that my best guess is half of the neighborhoods are doing it in person, half are still continuing to use Zoom. Maybe two are trying to do both Zoom and in-person idea. Everyone's kind of trying things out, but of course, everyone's safety and health is of the utmost importance, and so folks are still trying to figure that out.
Yeah, I do think that there is some value. I mean, like, again, like I'm this is coming from a perspective of like myself, and I don't really like in-person meetings. I prefer the Zoom, but just because that's my preference does not mean that that's the right thing to do. I think what the right thing to do, though, as far as meetings go, is hybrid, meaning like there is something set up where we can do something in person, and there is a digital component, and it's in one meeting. Technically it's a little more of a setup to do it like that, but as far as like maximum participation, I have heard feedback that some people would like to do in person. I'm willing to do those if needed. My own personal preference is digital or Zoom, but I'm a computer guy, and I understand that not everybody's a computer guy. And I think it's something. I mean, I think for now, Zoom has been easy to document the meetings and everything like that. But I do think that if it makes sense in the future to do in person with a Zoom component, so we can keep track of the meetings, and people who can't do the digital can come in person, I'm in favor of that if the neighborhood is in support of that. But that's my random thoughts on that.
No criticism on anything that's being done so far, just letting people know what's happening. So awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Yep. Okay. Now, this is the one that the next thing on the agenda is what I think it will maybe take up the longest amount of time in this meeting. And that would be the bylaws discussion. So we have, our bylaws as the Puget Neighborhood Association. They've been around. So the last time it was revised was 2007. I'm not saying we have to make any rash decisions in tonight's meeting or anything, but I kind of wanted us to discuss the bylaws a little bit, and maybe talk about maybe some changes that we might want to make. And one thing that's mentioned in the bylaws that I don't even know about, and I'm new to this position as president, but the idea of the annual meeting. So when was this annual meeting normally conducted? Like what in the past for those who are on the board now? Like in the bylaws, it says there will be an annual meeting, and then that's what it says is predicated on a lot of decisions that are made about the board or made about the association, and it happens after the annual meeting. And I don't know when the last annual meeting was, and when we normally do that.
Kevin, do you remember any annual meeting?
The annual meeting, I always, if I remember right, was the one in spring.
Okay.
And we did a barbecue at Carl Kosher. And I think that was what was constituted as our annual meeting. If I remember correctly, and this is off my very short-term memory, there's supposed to be 4 quarterly meetings, one of which would be our annual meeting, which was held in spring, which is also when I believe elections would take place.
Okay, so technically, if this annual meeting is going to happen, it technically should happen as the next one, right? Or is the annual meeting separate from the 4 meetings we do per year? Like, is one the annual as well as the second one out of the year? Okay.
Correct.
All right. Okay, that makes sense. So that means that if we are going to discuss elections and changes to the bylaws and stuff, if we want changes to them, we should indicate in our next agenda that that the next meeting is the annual meeting, and according to our bylaws, this is when these important issues would be discussed or voted on or whatever.
I believe that's correct.
Okay. So one thing is that one thing I want to just, because I don't think we should maybe, like, it does say that the bylaws can be amended at any normal association meeting. I'm not trying to like radically change these or anything, but one thing I did see in the bylaws that I just wanted to like get your guys' thoughts on it as the neighborhood, is it says that under members, like membership, it says that eligible persons become members upon payment of dues.
And as a nonprofit, we can't collect dues.
Right. So okay, so what I'm saying is that maybe this is something that I feel should change as far as when I'm like looking at I'm not a bylaws guy. Like, I'm not, the first thing in my brain is not let's go look at the bylaws, but like in these bylaws, it does seem to indicate that that somebody would have to pay dues in order to be a member, and I think that we should change that to not be the case. I think that there should be a registration, and when you want to be a member, you can register, and then that would be what makes you a member of the.
Then usually we ask for donations, but it's
okay to ask for donations.
Yes.
And I think that it's good to ask for donations. But I think it should be a donation and not a requirement for membership. And that's my opinion. But again, like the neighborhood can vote on what they want to be in these bylaws. But I will say that they have been not updated since 2007, and I do think that one of the biggest areas I see that I would like to change is just that somebody who wants to register to be a member of the neighborhood can be a member, like, instead of having to pay dues.
Yeah, and we haven't collected actual dues for
a long time. Yeah,
for a long time since I've known. I don't remember when they changed to just donations.
Right. And it does say that there should be no fewer than 7 board members. So how many board members do we have right now? I feel like it's like 4 or 5.
1, 2, 4.
4. Okay.
That's all I can think of.
Yeah, so it says that there should be no fewer than 7 and no more than 15 or sorry, no fewer than 7 and no more than 15. So we are definitely below that number. It does the bylaws do have latitude, a lot of latitude for if we don't have a sufficient number of people who are even on the board that they can be appointed based on like a voice vote or whatever. So like it is there anybody that is here in this meeting that is not on that is not a member of the board that would be interested in that? No? Okay.
I don't even think I'm a member of the association because I've never registered.
Okay.
I'd like to be a member of the Puget Neighborhood Association.
Okay, I'm just going to kind of say that if you have registered on the website for like the newsletter or whatever, like when to get notifications, and that would be it. You know, that would be that you've registered. So you get the emails that we send out, right? Sorry, you're muted.
I Googled it and got on the Zoom link, actually. I didn't get it in my email, no. So I don't think I've properly registered.
Okay, it's on the website. It was broken at some point, but I did fix it, so it works now. And so if you sign up in there, then that would, I guess, officially make you a member. And
Okay, thank you. I'll do that.
yeah, no problem. Sorry, I'm just kind of looking over this. Oh, sorry, a minimum of 9. It says that there must be a minimum of 9 board members, and we got 4. So, so basically, we need more board members to even be in compliance with our own bylaws. And I'm kind of in the mindset of a big tent neighborhood association. Like, I think right now we have to generate interest of some kind. Like, what's anybody's reason for even wanting to be part of this neighborhood association? Like, I mean, this is honestly to me from the ground up. So I'm just wondering what can we do as a neighborhood association, right? Like, so what are it does say, okay, so let's go back to the bylaw because we're in the bylaws discussion. So in the beginning of the bylaws, it talks about the purpose of the neighborhood association. So like that, I feel like that's a good part to go back to. So I guess according to the bylaws, the purpose of this neighborhood association is to preserve and enhance the community and provide another avenue for citizen involvement in public affairs. So any citizen who wants to state their case or say something on their mind in the neighborhood, that we're supposed to provide an avenue for that, which sounds good to me. To promote and provide a sense of community within the Puget neighborhood of the city of Bellingham and the state of Washington. To provide an open forum for the Puget neighborhood to meet and discuss issues, to work closely with government, business, or other entities to address Puget neighborhood concerns, including but not limited to matters of land use, zoning, other laws, rules, regulations, directly or indirectly affecting quality of life, amenities, the character of the neighborhood, interrelationship of neighbors consistent with Puget neighborhood objectives, to disclose or to disseminate information of interest and concern to residents of the neighborhood and engage other lawful activity deemed by the association to be in the best interest of the Puget neighborhood. So, to me, I think our main problem right now as a neighborhood association is getting more involvement with the neighborhood. People actually wanting to show up and give their input on what's going on in our neighborhood.
If I can interrupt you for just a moment, Doug.
Yeah.
This is this is another topic that was brought up at MNAC that we had talked about, and at our next MNAC meeting, we're going to each MNAC member from each neighborhood try and come up with ways that we can help with promoting membership and involvement, because everyone across the board is suffering from their numbers being very low, and not being able to even meet with having more than 3 or 4 board members. And membership usually increases with what was said. And membership usually increases with more activities. And so one of the things we did talk about was more activities that could work for neighborhoods. But again, that's next month's or this month's meeting.
Okay.
And I'll bring that back to us when we meet again.
Okay. So let me write that down because I think that is something that we should have. When we're because the next meeting is going to be the annual one or whatever, so or the quote unquote big one. And again, I might even be in favor of changing some stuff so that it's not riding on the annual meeting. Like it might be like something can be adjusted or worked with at a normal meeting, but that's how it's currently written, right? And so I want to add that as something to add to talk about at the annual meeting. The thing you're talking about for that is the next MNAC or whatever.
Can each of us ask two neighbors or inform 2 neighbors about the association and invite them to come?
Please do.
Yes.
The more the merrier. Like, please, like I'm all for more people coming to these meetings. I think they will. I think it's a matter of time, but we do have a lot of ground to make up as far as like participation goes. So, I'm here to help where I can, and anybody if somebody also too, we're very open, right? So if there is somebody in the neighborhood that you know of that works for any organization at all, or just has a concern, and they think it should be discussed as a neighborhood, we can put it on the agenda. Some of these agenda items I'm just coming up with because of a lack of agenda items. So like,
Yeah.
Anybody who feels that something is important to discuss, I think we should discuss it as a neighborhood. And
One of the biggest turnouts we had a while ago was when we all got together to fight the putting in the college dorms up here. And we had huge turnouts. And the idea is that the neighborhoods are supposed to take our concerns to the city, and the city's supposed to listen to us. Well, they listen, but they never really do anything about it.
They do what they're going to do.
What they want to do.
Yeah.
I always assumed that we're supposed to take our concerns to the city as to what the city is doing. Like right now, we also had a big turnout when the ADUs were made illegal in the neighborhoods. And they said the neighborhoods would always have the owner had to live there. They've changed that now. They're changing that, but we haven't heard anything about that unless you get the newspaper. So, these are concerns that we used to get really together and discuss and take it to the city what we wanted, and that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just wondering. I mean, it's issues that bring people together. It's issues and it's social events. People like to have fun together too.
Yes.
Just socializing. I think that's the big deal of the annual meeting, is that it's a moment when people can schedule their very tightly scheduled lives already and get together and meet and join in and talk and come up with some of those issues and take positions on those and build up a little bit of momentum. I think that the annual meeting is probably more important than the quarterly meetings in a lot of ways. But I wouldn't want to stop them. But I think that the annual meeting gives a focus for more people, and it should be a social event, and whatever political issues that the neighborhood wants to bring up or discuss should be there, and they should be talked about all the time. But they need to be issues. If they're not issues, why should I waste my time? Is sort of thing. Um, I was gonna bring up something a little bit later, but this seems relevant now. Is that the city's talking about they're working on their bike and their ped plans, right? The ped plan is nearly put together. We should hear something about some level of finalization. It's in its second round of reviews. The bike plan is about to be launched for its input and reviews that'll take course over the next several months. But they're also talking about at Public Works restoring the neighborhood traffic calming types of program. It was a program that existed back in something around 2007, actually. And it put together a little bit of funds for neighborhoods to propose actions in their neighborhood to solve particular traffic issues in their neighborhood streets, not on any arteries or anything like that, but in their neighborhood streets. There's lots of issues, and I think that actually there's some of those were discussed, several years ago here in Puget neighborhood. But that program, they want to revitalize it again, and that would give some sort of focus for at least a few people that they might be interested in solving a problem in the neighborhood. They would, neighborhood associations could come together and prioritize and propose to Public Works, hey, we need to fix this intersection. There's something that's going on there regularly, and we can't. We need some help to work on it. It would be small budget projects, but it could be something that would bring more life to the association.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that if there is a specific idea, are there any specific ideas in mind at the moment, though?
No. They're proposing to bring this program back.
Oh, because the program isn't in place yet. It's just kind of
it died in 2007, 2008 with a budget crisis. I think in 2008 they cut it out.
Oh, okay.
And they went to a citywide planning, and as a result, there became a planning commission, which I sit on. But that's citywide. That's for broad policy issues across the city. It's not to solve a particular problem on a particular street in our neighborhood.
Right.
And those types of questions and solutions just sort of went away for 15 years or more. So they're talking about bringing that back.
Okay.
And I think, I would think, Kevin, you've heard something about this, or they should be talking about it. We're told that MNAC is going to be talking about that, because that was the basis of MNAC was that organization. They would bring neighborhood proposals to MNAC.
Yeah, I've not heard anything about that so far. So
okay, just keep your ears open on it.
Oh, I will. Thank you.
Okay, so this annual meeting, so I guess if it's supposed to be like more important, I mean, do you guys think it should be an in-person venue, or do you think that we should do it over Zoom? I mean, I'm just like, whoever's here, I mean, I guess we're the ones who are here. So what do you all think?
Annual should be in person. And I think the idea of a safe neighborhood opportunity should be brought up, and we should make a decision if we want to do that. We should tell the city Puget neighborhood wants to have the safe neighborhood program reinstated. That would be one thing that could take place at the meeting. I think anyway.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. I think we could do it. I think especially since there is some money in the budget. I mean, I think that if it costs anything to throw I mean, like maybe we could do a barbecue or something. I don't know, like for the annual meeting, like give out some nice food and. I mean,
well, it's not exactly for a barbecue.
Okay.
We did have a outdoor thing in August a few years ago, but we had a bouncy house for kids and food, and hardly anyone showed up. We had the police department and the fire department.
Yeah, so it's probably just a waste of money. Okay, but we should do it in person. So we used to do it at Carl Kosher. I do know that Lydia Place, the Heart House or whatever, they at one point they did volunteer to say that we could use their space for neighborhood meetings, and I don't know if that might be easier than Carl Kosher, like what we did before. I can get back in touch with them to confirm, but it has enough space for about 50 people, and so we might exceed that at some later date. But I think that maybe in the if we're talking about our annual meeting and there probably won't be 50 people, maybe that would be an easier option, or I don't know.
I can at least speak for Lydia Place because I'm the property manager.
Okay.
And I think Heart House is a great option. We could definitely fit. I could see what the capacity is, but we could fit quite a few people in there.
Okay. Well, thanks. Thanks for. Yeah, that would be awesome. Hi.
Perfect. Yeah, we have a kitchenette and things like that too. So.
Yeah, we used to have pizza donated by Papa Murphy's for all our meetings.
Right. We could, if there's a kitchenette or anything, I mean, and there's some way we could cook it. I mean, then that's good too.
Dave and I used to cook them and take them down there.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I would be willing to do that too. That's a nice, affordable option, and I'd be cool to put one in my oven or two of them in my oven before coming down. And yeah, I think that would be a good idea.
I think that's what you might want to try for the next annual meeting is just the pizza, and because you gotta have more people around to get them stirred up.
I know. I get excited sometimes about barbecues for some reason.
Yeah, no, it's a great idea. I think that not blowing the budget this time, but waiting till there's a little bit more momentum.
Yeah, I agree. So, okay, I think so. Tentatively, I guess it would make sense to plan for Lydia Place for the meeting spot, wherever that is, and I'll have to get in touch with you, Becca, and and I would thank you. And
we can figure out capacity and what we need.
Okay, cool. And then we can make it a thing and put it out there. And I hope that, and I'll tell my friends who are in the local area to come if they can, and
great.
And see if we can build some momentum on some of these changes. Yeah.
I love that.
I'm just looking at I've looked at it a few times today, but I'm looking at bylaws is like it's like nails on a chalkboard for me, but but they're important to get straight, as far as how it's supposed to work. Let's see. Okay, so quorum, majority of the membership of the. Okay. All right. On the bylaws, I think that discussing changes to them should be done at the next at the annual meeting, and I think that we need to. I think at the annual meeting too, we need to figure out who wants to maybe help with the responsibilities of the board because we've only got 4 board members and we need to get it out. On that.
What I see as you scroll through this is that this is bylaws for a much larger organization than I've ever seen. in the 6 years that I've been attending these
Delusions of grandeur of the
meetings.
organization.
Well,
No, I'm
I
just
think
kidding.
that
I'm
there
just
was
kidding.
something.
Right, because it can get big. It can get bigger. It's like maybe if there's like issues going on at a specific time, people get more involved because it's more important or perceived to be more important. So this document, I think, was designed for when the organization was larger, or at least was planning to be larger than it is. And I do think maybe it could change to be a little more lightweight, but at the same time, a lightweightness that could handle growth if it did grow. I don't know.
I would propose that the first thing you pointed out was the dues, and I think that needs to change. That needs to conform, and it's less intimidating if you ask for a donation as opposed to saying you got to pay dues.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea. I think that should be proposed and maybe even put into the agenda for the next meeting. That will be the big thing, and the others, I think it's still going to need time to digest and work on. I mean, that's an 8-page document with a lot of detail. It's a subcommittee that works on something like that, but you're the subcommittee right now. Unless you see something that's really, really big, I mean, we're out of conformance. We only got 4 out of 9 minimum.
Yeah, 9 minimum is what it says.
So I think we just go ahead with what we've got, but make it easier to be a member.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least appear easier. I haven't been intimidated by having to pay dues. I donated a few times. I haven't donated in a while. Probably a good idea to do that.
Maybe not. But the point is that you don't actually. It currently says that you become a member when you pay dues, and we definitely, I think, can agree that language needs to be changed. I do think I want to do it as a proposed change at the next meeting. I do think that we can. I think at the next meeting we can talk. It even says that that the bylaws can be changed at a regular meeting. I think it's actually okay for it to be an open house discussion at the annual meeting about what changes we want to make. Like, we do have to probably, like, at the annual meeting, discuss what's in the bylaws, and hopefully it won't take up too much of people's time, but like to talk about what's outdated and what could be updated to be more streamlined. And
yeah, you don't want to turn people off by talking a bunch of bylaws.
I know, and I don't. This is like, as I said, nails on a chalkboard to me to go through these documents, but I think that I will read through this multiple times, and I will maybe have some proposals that will be common sense, that I think that if the neighborhood saw them, they'd be like, yeah.
It's on the website?
Yeah, it's on the website. Yep. And I will I will make sure to get the annual meeting up like within the next week. We can discuss a certain date, but we do these quarterly, so I was just going to do it when the next quarterly line. Well, I don't know exactly what date that is, but it says in our bylaws it has to be a Tuesday. That all meetings have to be a Tuesday. So it has to be a Tuesday, probably like one quarter from now, in spring sometime. The meetings of the association shall be on Tuesdays. So it's locked in. It has to be a Tuesday. Yeah. Oh, Kathleen. Yeah. I see your hand is raised.
You're mute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, I just have a suggestion, maybe to get more people interested in even coming to the annual meeting, is to put out a notice to ask if there's any particular items that they would like to, or issues that they would like to have discussed, just to get a conversation started. There might be people out there that do have concerns, different concerns about the neighborhood. and they just need an invitation to come to the meeting and start some conversation.
Sorry, I was just writing that down. I think that's a great idea. I think that that could be something that when we send it out in the the notification that it's happening next quarter, that we could put in the email. If there's anything that you would like to discuss at the next meeting, then we would like to talk about that and maybe add it to the agenda or whatever like that. Like give them the invitation to say what they want to discuss.
Yeah, right. I think there might be some different issues in different parts of our neighborhood. I live on Nevada, so of course one of my issues is the speeding at my end of it, which is right next to Consolidation, when people come roaring down and don't stop at the stop sign, or they floor it and take off at 30 miles an hour. So that's just one of my little pet peeves, but there might be other things that people want to talk about, and maybe even more positive things, like taking care of the flower beds and so forth that we have on Nevada further down. It would just be nice to get some input from some of our members who right at the moment probably don't feel like they know why they would go to the meeting. That's all I've got.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Makes sense. I'll try to put the invite out there in the next notification I put out there.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Just to let you know, Dave Sparman has always kept up the gardens, but he's getting to the point where he just can't keep up anymore. So we need volunteers.
Kathleen, Walk and Roll Bellingham they advocated for 20-mile-per-hour. They told the Transportation Commission, which Keith is a member of. I don't know if Chris Como, transportation planner, took it up, but we got the speeds down. I agree that Woburn and Lakeway are too fast. I think Lakeway separates our neighborhood, because I live down from Lakeway, and it's a major undertaking to cross that road. I have to walk a long way to find a safe crossing. And I like going up Samish Crest. There are trails up there. I would go if it were a little easier more often. And when I'm with my 5-year-old grandson, I'm even more hesitant. I'm just saying that other people have voiced concerns about speed. Official organizations have. And I don't know if we're being heard by Chris, the transportation planner. What do you, Keith, have an opinion on that? Could we get speeds lowered? I'd like to lower the speed.
It's a great idea, and we should push for it in whatever ways we can. There's a lot of people that need to get places. I think we had an earlier discussion last meeting. The getting across Lakeway, though, that's going to be huge too. I mean, they put in the last 2 or 3 years crosswalks. I used one today with my dog. It was quite harrowing just to walk along the street there with the dog. He's a young guy, doesn't mind real well. But the message on the 20, I think, has been recognized. I don't think it's big enough to and what we're talking about is residential streets. We're not talking about arteries.
Right.
Lakeway is a huge artery. I mean, that's a 4-lane artery. But the 20 mile an hour is in residential neighborhoods and residential streets. And there are things that can be done that slow traffic or are traffic calming, they say. And that's the types of things that might be proposed if they're not particularly expensive, but can be set up by agreement of a bunch of neighbors and pushing in a proposal. If they put in such the neighborhoods program, that might be some way that could be dealt with. want to be ready for that at that time. But it is the 20 miles an hour is not going to happen very soon without a lot more effort of a lot more people. And the neighborhoods could be that force.
Tacoma got it done in the residential streets, I mean. Yeah, it can be done.
But will it be? I don't know. Maybe. Okay, so the next thing on the agenda is the same. I think we've already kind of discussed it. It wasn't like, stated specifically, but the Puget Neighborhood Board. So we were talking about the bylaws, and then I do think that at the next annual meeting we should discuss anybody who can show up to that meeting that might be interested in helping with board responsibilities, and whether the number that's in there of 9 minimum is the right number, or whether the neighborhood association is fine with 4 or whatever. I think we need a little bit more involvement, but from the neighborhood in general. But it's just I just wanted to add that on as as what was next. And then the last thing on the agenda is open mic or just public comment at all. And so I think we were just doing that just now. But I do think that is there anybody here that wants to say anything about anything at all with the neighborhood? What do you all think? Yeah, Kathleen, you have your hand raised.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I kind of have the feeling that the lack of interest or participation might have a lot to do with the fact that after the 2 bouts we had with the city over University Ridge, I'm probably forgetting the names, but I've been a part of this neighborhood for about 13 years. And so I went through both times that they were going to build something between Nevada and Puget. And I think a lot of us, or some of us that I know personally, just got burned out for the same reason that I just heard earlier in the meeting, that we made all kinds of recommendations and asking for different things to be changed through this process. And it felt like every time we got shut down by the city. And so I feel like to kind of get this neighborhood going again, we need, you're talking about different things now, which sound really good, about, maybe having pizza, and we donate drinks. I'd bring drinks or something, and just let the people know that we want an upbeat meeting with input from people as to what they'd like to see in the neighborhood. And I don't mean necessarily derogatory things, but maybe there's something more fun that we could do as a neighborhood, which I don't have any idea what that is at the moment. But it's almost like we have to stir up the interest again. I think we just kind of felt shut down after this last business with the 3 buildings going up between our 2 streets. So that's all I got.
Yeah, no, and I think that that's understandable. Sometimes it feels like, what's the point, because I feel that way sometimes too, because, what I do, like with the villages for Homes Now and stuff, it's like we run into stuff with the city all the time that is like, okay, the new stuff you're putting on us isn't productive. It's not making our job any easier, and we're trying to work on a problem, but you're making it harder, and and then at the end of the day they might just do what they're going to do, and you might not like it, but what choice do you have? And so it just kind of ends up, I can see why it would be frustrating to a lot of people, like neighborhood wise. I mean, seems like even if 90% of the neighborhood wants something, maybe it'll happen or not, I don't know.
Right.
We have a
Uh,
representative on the city council. Maybe she would like to come to our meeting and
Oh,
talk.
oh, who?
Um, which
Lisa,
one? I'm sorry, I've lost her name right now.
it's Lisa Anderson, no?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay, yeah, Lisa Anderson.
I mean, we used to have people that came to speak. In fact, you did. The first time I met you, and I think that uh, that's a drawing card of having inform people come in and inform us about various issues that are relevant to our neighborhood.
Yeah, and
Um,
I'm
and I
definitely
think
for
that's
anyone that
yeah, I think that's a we have to look for and recruit that. Um, the 20 mile an hour might be an interesting issue to try and raise to talk about whether it would go very far. I mean, there are a lot of ways of trying to reduce speed. Speed limit signs have never been really very effective, but they are indicative of an attitude in a neighborhood. I think that if a lot of people get together and start talking about it, I mean that maybe they'll come up with another solution. Putting pots at the end of at intersections that have plants in them. Don't let Public Works know that I just said that, but I mean the there are different types of activities that can be done there, that can infrastructure that can be created to slow traffic so that it doesn't go running through stop signs. There are ways to deal with that. And those are the neighborhood streets. Those are our streets. Those are where we step out from our front porch every day. And I think that people can get enthused about that. And um, I'm going to push for the city to work on these small projects because that will provide real incentives for doing this. So if we get on the bandwagon early, maybe we'll get something really good.
yeah.
The web page is a lot better. Thanks. I think you did that,
Yeah,
Doug, right?
yeah, I can build websites. I could, of course, make it better than it is, but I just put the base. I made sure the basics are at least working and looked
And it's
decent.
current because it was, I'm sure we lost membership because really there were no meetings ahead. Everything was passed. It was
Yeah,
really out of date, and now it's up to the time in which we exist right now,
and
which
I
is
and it's not just the website. I am going to make sure
helping.
that
Gonna help.
notifications get sent so people could, because like who's going to remember the Puget neighborhood website, right? So like it's there if somebody is looking for it, but at the same time we intend to send out regular messages on our Facebook and what is it, Nextdoor, and the email group to send the same information out that you can find on our website. But also, we are recording these meetings and documenting them, and it's a long-term strategy. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I think in the long run, we will be able to increase attendance, and the neighborhood will be working together for common goals that bring them together. And I think that just making it known that we're still around and we're attempting to do that, I think will bring them in eventually. Yeah.
As
I-
far as go ahead.
Oh, I had a question about the membership list. When people say they're no longer in our neighborhood, is there someone maintaining that?
Yeah, that's me. I've been removing them from the
Oh, okay.
list when they request it. It's annoying, but I just do it, no problem, and I've been handling that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Janet.
As far as a guest, I would recommend the Million Trees organization, and having, maybe we could have an event, or I mean a speaker, but if we could try to encourage neighbors to get the ivy and Himalayan blackberry off their own properties,
Yeah,
then
it
it
is an
wouldn't get
invasive
much
species.
into our woods. I think that that's a message that I would like to promote. Besides the 20 miles per hour, especially on Nevada.
And is this organization, are they local or are they international, or what's
Local, it's
okay.
Whatcom Million Trees
Okay.
planting, but they're also getting ivy off the bottom of the trees.
Okay.
And yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think there's no harm in having them as a guest. Yeah.
you could invite them as a guest, maybe at the annual or at a quarterly. Let me know if you want me to invite them, and I
Yep.
would.
I say go for it. Let's do it.
Okay, he's really experienced. Do you want to just email me the date, or should I find it on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
webpage?
I'll find the or
The spring meeting? We could have a little time for
because
Whatcom Million.
yeah. I'll have to figure out the date, and then I think yes, and I'll get in touch with you. Or if you could email me, I might have forgotten your email address. So if you could email me and just say get back to me, I'll get back to you with that. And I think that's a good idea.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem.
As far as the bylaws, it seems like what Keith was suggesting is that a small group is going to have to tackle those and then make a proposal to a larger group that just says it's okay. Are you tackling it yourself, or do you have someone to help you to go through them all?
Well, I think that it says in the bylaws that if there is a proposed change to the bylaws, they can be voted on at any normal meeting, but the proposals for a change have to be, in writing or whatever. And so,
Oh,
so I think that anybody that is a member of the neighborhood association, I think, can write a suggestion for a change in the bylaws, and we can actually add that to the next, like where we maybe vote on it, at the next meeting or whatever. And I have some changes I've proposed, such as the not requiring dues to be a member. But I suggest that anybody here that reads over those bylaws and has some changes that they might suggest, if they could email me, I'd be happy to add them as proposed changes to the next meeting when we are discussing the bylaws.
and they're
Whoever cares to read them, that would be wonderful. Yeah.
when we can find them on the webpage.
Yep.
The
Yep. They're right there on the webpage in the main menu and everything. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. No problem.
I still warn against discussing too many changes to the bylaws at a meeting, especially if they're set changes. I think having an open discussion amongst a lot of people is a good idea. But the first one you picked up, the dues, on membership, that's got to be changed. I think that needs to be written. It has to be sent around to everybody. Hopefully, I don't know, it may say in the bylaws, a lot of bylaws say like a month or a week or whatever before the meeting. But so everybody gets a chance to read it, and then you can just vote up and down on it because we know what the answer should be.
Yeah. And it does.
I don't think it's going to stir up any conflict, but it could open up then the discussion for these are some other proposals, and you could have those ready to have people just to discuss and
right.
consider.
And I think that's you guys or the neighborhood, anybody from the neighborhood reading it and it's saying like, hey, I think this could be changed, or this would make sense to change. It's okay to email that or discuss it. We can put it in as something specific if it makes a lot, because I'm sure there's other stuff in there that makes a lot of sense to adjust. And so I'm not saying let's change the bylaws, completely, at the next meeting, but being real about what do they currently say versus what should change. And I think that's an honest discussion that can be had and not take forever to get to where we need to get to. So
It's just I'm worried that it would bog a meeting down where we're trying to encourage people to join, to get involved.
yeah, right.
It's not a sexy topic.
No,
Getting people to think about it. I think that's important. And then maybe at that meeting saying, okay, here's the drafts I've got. Here's some drafts some other people got. Small group, 2 or 3 people, put them together and read through. Do the hard work. It's got to be a small committee work, and then at the next meeting, some more changes could be proposed. But I think the first one
Should just be
should be
the change it to not require paying dues
right.
to be a member.
Say, yeah, if you live here, you're a member.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I agree with that in general, and yeah, and I don't want a meeting to be bogged down by bylaws discussions either. I'm more interested in like what we can do, like as a neighborhood, how can we come together and what can we do to create change for it being a better neighborhood than what it is now. And I'm not saying it's awful now. I'm saying that we're just trying to make it better. And
Can we, and when you change the no dues, can you add something about donations appreciated? We used to have a suggested amount of donations, which no one had to do or take.
yeah, I think that would be good. Yeah, I think adding something like that in would be a good thing. And what I can do too is I can maybe write something up and I can send it to the rest of the board and see if that seems reasonable, and maybe we can adjust if needed or whatever. And I think that could be a very easy, common sense thing added in. Yeah.
I have another topic that's about the school district at Colson, and I've written the superintendent, and they did this at Sunnyland, which isn't in our neighborhood, but they put the artificial turf down at the elementary school. So those kids go out and they play on a kind of a bubbly, rubbery surface for the play equipment, but to go out to what would have been a grassy area in the past for children to experience grass, they're on this plastic turf. And then they go inside and the curriculum is seasons, like they're painting a big tree and with birds, and it's very devoid of life, and it's brand new. And I always pass the school. I always vote for schools. I'm a teacher. I'm a substitute teacher. I'm a retired teacher. So I'm for public education, but I'm not for this turf for our kids. And they're going to put it on at Colson, which is really, the principal said it's too wet out there for them to play. And it's actually a little wetland. And I was just reading that the tiniest wetlands are really important for the birds, for the survival of songbirds, for the survival of geese. And
So are you saying that the whole
they
field?
want them for sports.
Are you saying that the whole field of what would normally be grass for the entire school is like astroturf instead, or is that what you're saying?
Well, at Sunnyland, they put it right on James, so it's kind of in an area that probably was paved but I'm saying in general, we think of children as being able to experience grass, but they're putting turf out. And they may do it at Carl Kosher when they make the amendments there. It's going to be a new school. But they are doing it at Colson. And I don't know if you've gone to Colson. It's a beautiful area, wooded next to it. And I to me it actually looks like a little bit of a wetland, but I know I'm very nature oriented and I'm quick to call something a wetland that others may not, but it's soggy. And that means the water is getting recharged before it enters the water table and eventually the Salish Sea, which is going extinct. It's dying. And I don't think that junior high or middle school kids need to have turf. Even pro ball players complain about it. The Atlantic had an article about it in December about how pro ball players don't want to play on turf because their injuries are more severe. I just am trying to inform you that our schools, our Bellingham schools are putting this turf down. It's already all at Squalicum, Seaholm, the high schools, not Bellingham. Yeah, Bellingham too. But they're reaching down to these little children who, if you watch kids like at Columbia Elementary, they go to the bushes and they want to see the the snails. They're very interested in bugs at Lowell. Kids don't need to be on plastic, in my opinion. And I don't know if you care about the landscape around Colshan. To me, it's such a beautiful place to keep as woodsy as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I do care. I think that also that um, anything that can be done naturally, without artificial plastic, if possible, it makes sense. And I, I not sure. I actually am not aware of how much turf is being used versus grass at any of these schools or whatever. I don't know if they're replacing their whole grass fields with turf or if there's only like some parts of it that are turf. I don't know. I was just listening to what you were saying, and I don't know the details personally, but not against natural grass, I guess.
They'll be putting in plastic trees for them pretty soon.
Yeah, well, yeah, who knows? Whatever ends up being what they do, I guess, is what they'll do. I don't know. I'm not really sure the rationale, but they should use real trees, I guess. If I don't know.
It sounds like a neighborhood issue that we could discuss in the group, but and some research and get some information about it. Somebody that reports on it. That would be a good subject for a meeting that could, bring together.
Yeah, because I don't know
certain
anything
number
about
of people.
Yeah, because I don't know anything about that. I didn't know that grass was being replaced with turf or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, the superintendent replied that Bellingham is such a natural area with all the beautiful parks and that it really wasn't going to matter. But I feel like our ethic needs to change. I think everything we do matters because we're on the edge of a precipice in regards to the problems that our children will be facing. They're here now. Like the Colorado River can no longer support the 12 states that rely on it, and Mexico. And the Salish Sea no longer supports its ancient species, the southern resident orca. It's here now. The water from Lake Whatcom is polluted. We're drinking, our water supply is polluted. But anyway, the Bellingham School District has a green board. I'm assuming some of those people would be living in our neighborhood association. And I wrote them, but only the superintendent replied. I guess I'm asking if this body, if you stated your opinion, and I sense something from others, but I mean, if you have an opinion about putting turf, especially for elementary, since they did it at Sunnyland, they're going to rebuild Carl Kosher. Do you want kids in Puget to be playing on plastic when they go outdoors? That's their experience when they're outside. My 5-year-old grandson goes to that school and I don't want him on it. I want him to experience something, but the sky and some grass and some bugs. Just, this is the right of a child to me.
Yeah, that's understandable. Makes sense. Um, and I don't have any kids, but as a kid, when I was a kid, I do recall that I did enjoy the grass and nature and bugs and all that stuff. So I think that's a good thing to have as an experience. In my opinion, I don't know. I mean, we're just discussing as a neighborhood, I guess, about turf.
They're building a big old fence along Lakeway and Carl Kosher. You might have seen it because people were giving children candy at Carl Kosher.
Sketchy candy or just normal candy?
Just the interaction between all the residents of Bellingham and the children, and that's been open for decades and decades. And
Right.
now the district is building a great, you can see the framework for it. It's just a change in, separating the children from the neighbors, whoever they may be, bus traffic,
I mean, there's a lot of traffic that goes by that school for sure. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's not. It's like it's a very public sidewalk. Like right. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be good.
Okay. Is there any other stuff from anybody here that would like to speak about anything at all as a neighborhood? Okay. I will write some of this down, or I will for the annual meeting or whatever, which is the I guess the important one. I will take the notes from this meeting. There will be one specific change that I put for a recommendation for the bylaws, which is to change it so we don't need to pay dues, and that's a specific thing that the neighborhood will vote on, and then have a copy sent of the bylaws for anybody who wants to read it, and if anybody wants to make any specific proposals at the next meeting for that, they can. But we're not going to try to focus on the bylaws too much because we're talking about actions that the neighborhood can take to work together for common purpose as far as issues that matter to the neighborhood, and it will be in person, which I want to do a Zoom component as well. So anybody who can't make it in person, it'll be a hybrid meeting, and I'll I'll get in touch with Becca from Lydia Place for that meeting spot, and we'll go from there. And does that sound good? Okay.
Yes.
Well, thanks everyone for coming tonight, and this will be posted online, and I will get to with the rest of the board as far as the notifications we're going to send out to the neighborhood and on our website to make sure that what we send out is exactly what we want to send out for the next meeting or whatever in spring. So. Okay. Everybody have a great night. Take it easy.
Good night.
Have a good one.